All right, UFC 301. How could I explain this? The best analogy I got for UFC 301 is at face value. You ever are like at like a wholesome function where you want to meet a partner to bring home to the folks, and you say, okay, let's go out on a first date and see how things go, and then you realize, you know, you guys want to go back to your place just to go watch a movie, and then it just turns into. Then you realize this potential partner parties harder underneath the surface than we realized. That's what UFC 301 was. Because I looked at the card, and yeah, you had names like Anthony Smith, Paul Craig, but you didn't really understand who they were facing down. Maybe it was me being behind on the non-ranked rankings, but there are definitely some prospects out there, especially the guy that looked like Squints from The Sandlot that knocked out Paul Craig, which, by the way, I'm going to make videos on basically each of these fights. I'm glad I was at UFC 301 at the bar because this fight card gave me way more to talk about on this channel now, and I am super happy, and could not be happier. There's going to be plenty of shorts talking about it. We're going to go over it in like just a little bit of a highlight, though, because number one, Paul Craig, I think it's time for him to call it because obviously at middleweight, he doesn't have the hands. He did have that one fight against Jamal Hill like years ago, but that was like the highlight of his career. And what I'm seeing now is he just relies on his jiu-jitsu in MMA, which is not good, especially against higher level opponents who have jiu-jitsu also, and they have ways to negate that. So I think he might want to think about like either evolving his game or getting out of the fight game, to be honest, because it's getting pretty bad at this point. Moving on, we had who was it? Oh yeah, Michael Pereira with that backflip over. A lot of people said that the knee landed on the face. I think it landed more near the shoulder, and it was an accident. He was trying to be flashy, and it was still a victory on his part. But he caught the guy and capitalized on it. Again, Michael Pereira is up at middleweight now, so he's pretty big. He's a big fella, and he's bringing the business. Obviously, it was a good night for Brazilians for the first two fights. Then we had Anthony Smith pull the biggest Hail Mary. Now, watching that fight with who he was facing down, that undefeated prospect, I forget his name. Let's be a little real here. Anthony Smith was not winning that fight. In fact, it was one of those cases where the better fighter lost. Anthony Smith just didn't have an answer physically. You could tell that he was softer than this guy. And the guy went in for a really bad judgmental double leg where he left his head in, got cocky, and Anthony Smith capitalized on it and had to tap out. Anthony Smith tapped the guy, and it was a Hail Mary that like literally the other guy gave to Anthony Smith. So if I hear anything from Anthony Smith saying that he deserves a title run or anything like that, I don't think he's going to make it very far, just because that was clearly a fight where the better fighter lost. No disrespect to Anthony Smith. He already gets a bad rap. I think the community has seen his flaws. But I was kind of rooting against Anthony Smith just because I've seen those videos where he's talking about John Jones not being that good. When I think, honestly, Anthony Smith's just getting a little bit older, and he's having trouble coming to terms with that. Now, good on him for winning, but if he gets cocky and tries to be like Luke Rockhold and tries to make another climb, a lot of people aren't going to capitalize on rookie mistakes with him. As long as you can... In fact, I think this has kind of set him up to be a softer target at light heavyweight. Just my honest opinion. Co-main... The main selling point of the fight card, Jose Aldo Jr. was Jose Aldo Jr. was amazing. He He came back against Jonathan Martinez, and I actually knew Aldo was going to win this fight because Aldo's last fight was against Merab Dvalishvili. He was always facing top-tier competition, so if you face a guy that's rank 12 or rank 14 or in that range, he's going to have an easy day at the office. He's still got it in the tank to gatekeep and be that guy. His title days are in the past. I think that's really apparent. His prime is done, and he's just riding out on a legendary career. He's already in the UFC Hall of Fame, but I had a feeling that he was going to have a really good win, and you know what? Good on him for winning that. Jonathan Martinez is going to come back better. He's going to take something from this, and yeah, good on him for stepping in there with Jose Aldo. If you're in there stepping in with Jose Aldo, you got nothing to worry about, my guy. You are a legend in your own right because you had the right to even hang with Jose. And then the main event. I said that there was going to be 3 outcomes. A schooling for Ursag where Pantoja just puts him out and it's underwhelming. Maybe entertaining on a highlight reel. Ursag upsets the world and proves that he's on a higher level than everybody else. Just comes out of nowhere. Or we get a very close fight where obviously Pantoja outclasses him slightly in everything, but you still see a lot of hope for Ursag in his future because Astro Boy is awesome. You know, I think he really proved what he was worth. If he's not getting a jump in the rankings after that night, of course he made some rookie mistakes. He's got 4 fights in the UFC, already doing title runs. He's got plenty of tread in the tires left. And I think one day he is going to see the champion again, whoever has that belt. And I think that he's going to be ready for it. But, man, this card was way better when I watched it than how it was marketed at face value. And I highly underestimated how good UFC 301 was. But I'm going to make some more shorts and in-depth things based around this. See if I could do some matchmaking in my shorter videos, and then in my long-term ones, just talk about some more in-depth areas of these fights. But yeah, this was fun. Peace out.